Okay, so I'm going to work on these two beam links here, and it's a pretty straightforward piece to make, not very difficult at all. Actually, very little machining, but as you can see, they're made out of 1/4 inch wide brass, 1/16 of an inch thick, and they're a little over 3 inches long. So we got two bends we got to make on that, and it somewhat needs to be accurate. And what I went ahead and did is, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, I put some layout lines on here, and let me see here, if you guys can see, I got this represents this hole that has to get drilled, a 3/32 hole. This is the first bend, and the second bend is in the opposite direction, so I laid that out on the back side. That gets bent the other direction, and I have the second hole marked out just for reference, because I'm not going to drill these holes until after the piece is bent, and because this has to be, those holes have to be 3 inches on center. So when I do the bend, it's going to pull this in. So to make sure I maintain that 3 inch on center, I'll drill the hole after the piece is bent, and then use the digital readout and step over the 3 inches that I need to go. I also, I don't know if you could see, I left this a little proud here. I gave 50 thousandths waste, so after I drill a hole, that gives me some material so I could cut that radius nice. If something goes wrong, I'd like to keep that radius pretty consistent all around and not wind up with a flat spot down there. So a little extra margin there. And same here, I'll leave this long until after the piece is bent, drilled, do the radius, and do the other side here. Now I plan on doing the radius in the milling machine, and I'll just put a 3/32 pin in the hole and step over 125 thousandths. I'll start further away, and then I'll sneak in on it, and with an end mill I'll be able to rotate the part around that pin and create the radius. And then I'll flip this around, I'll trim off the excess, and I'll complete the other side like that as well. This part's going to be fairly long, so I'll have control over it, and I'll just be careful to make sure I'm not climb milling where it can grab and spin it out of my hand and destroy the part. So the plan, before I bend this, I'll get the other part marked up and I'll tape them together, so when I bend them, I'll bend both pieces at the same time, so that'll help ensure the bends are the same for each piece, and it'll be nice and symmetric. So one other thing I just want to point out quick before we get started is there's a little trigonometry involved to determine where these lines were. So even they give you the information on the plans, but you have to dig for it to get the distance where the two bends are. It's not very difficult. I'll save everybody the grief of doing the math. Alright, so I went ahead, I taped the two pieces together, they're even, and with a 1, 2, 3 block I just got this up against the back of the brake here and got this squared up so it'll be at a 90-degree angle. Get this clamped down. know if my arm is in the way or not here. Get this snug down nice. And okay, and we'll just give this a little bit of a bend. Okay, so that's about roughly 10 degrees. I had to bend that back a bit, but now we'll flip this around. And we got to bend the other side up, and that will be on those lines there. And we'll do the same thing. That looks good about there. Okay, and we'll just give that a little bit of a bend, same way. Alright, that looks pretty good. So this should be about 11-30 seconds. Of an offset. And we'll go check that out. Alright, so I got both pieces. I had to adjust the angle a little bit. And but I got an adjustable parallel set for 344 thousandths there. And it's right there, so I think it's close enough for this. The original dimension was called out in fractions, so this is really splitting hairs at this point. So let's get this. I'll get them separated. We'll get it set up in the milling machine, and we'll use that to drill the holes, 2 holes in each piece. So let me get things cleaned up on the mill, and I'll get you over there in a minute. Got the beam link clamped up in the vise here. I went ahead off camera. I centered it in the y-axis, and it came up 125, which is the radius of the end that will be trimmed, plus the 15 thousandths that we gave extra for cleanup. So start with a center drill. We'll get this drilled, move over 3 inches, hit the other spot, and then we'll come back and we'll drill the holes through with a 3/32 drill bit. Pretty straightforward, so let's get going. Alright, so to cut the radiuses around the ends of the beam link, I got a 3/32 piece of drill rod in a V-block here. I centered it in the y-axis, and we're going to slip this over. This will be just a guide, and we'll move in the x-axis, move in until we create a nice radius. So to support this without cutting into the V-block or the clamp there, I just have a sacrificial piece here that I'll lay over, and we'll be able to cut the radius like that. So, so let's get started, and we'll bring this down, and see, I'll just take a little bit at a time off, and I don't want to, so I'm going to bottom it out, and I'll come up a little bit, lock the quill in, and try to do this without getting my hand in there. Okay, so got the two radiuses cut. I'll do the other piece the same way. I'll do that off camera. So, looking good.